Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty fascinating, a quote from Einstein himself. Imagination is more important than knowledge.
That really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Especially now.
It really does. I mean, we're constantly told, get more data, learn more facts. So his statement feels, well, almost backwards.
Right. But you get the sense he was pointing towards something deeper about what intelligence really is.
Yeah, not just how much you know, but like your ability to think outside the box, to see things that aren't there yet, making those unexpected links.
Exactly. And that lines up perfectly with Redefine Imaginify, which is our main source today. It's a framework that treats creativity less like magic.
And more like architecture, a system you can build.
Precisely. It gives you a structure for cultivating those breakthrough ideas. Less random, more deliberate.
Okay, and we're also looking at innovationary to ground this a bit.
Yeah, innovationary brings in the empirical side. It looks at how really new, genuinely novel ideas manage to catch on online, sometimes even despite the algorithms.
Which is wild in itself, right?
Right.
Succeeding because they break the mold.
It's a fascinating paradox.
So our mission today is kind of tracing that journey. From the first spark of an idea, the ignition phase, as Redefine Imaginify calls it, all the way to how it actually finds its footing online, makes an impact, and crucially, how it sometimes slips past those algorithms. Like it takes its own path.
But, and this is really important, there's a pivot here. Redefine Imaginify shows you how to generate these powerful, novel ideas.
Right. The tools.
But that kind of power, the power to create something truly different that resonates, well, that comes with weight. Ethical weight.
Ah, okay, so it's not just how to be more creative, but getting into the responsibility of it.
Exactly. What kind of novelty should we actually be creating? What happens when these ideas take off and, escape our control?
That's huge, especially online.
That's what we're calling the conscious architect's ethos. It's about really grappling with the responsibility that comes with shaping how people think, shaping public conversation.
Conscious architect's ethos. I like that, because this kind of creativity, it's not just personal anymore, is it? It can ripple out.
Massively. And that burden is real. So let's dig into that. Imaginify starts by totally reframing how you see yourself as a creator. You're not just waiting for inspiration to strike.
No muse needed.
Not in the passive sense. It positions you as the active architect.
Yeah.
You're consciously building your own inspiration.
Through managing inputs and synthesis.
Yeah, it's systematic. You're strategically managing what comes in, what you read, watch, experience. And then you're cultivating how your mind puts it all together, the synthesis part.
That sounds like Einstein's imagination idea again, this synthesis transformation.
It really is. It's not about pulling ideas out of nowhere. It's about taking existing things, knowledge, art, science, experience,
all the bits and pieces,
and remixing them, reinterpreting them skillfully to create something genuinely new. Your brain is the architect, shaping those raw materials.
Yeah.
Like a sculptor with clay.
Okay, so if I'm the architect, what are the best ways to find that clay? Where does the source say this novelty comes from?
Well, it points to a couple of key mechanisms, and yeah, some of them might surprise you. They challenge our usual picture of the perfect creative setting.
So it's not always the quiet cabin in the woods?
Not necessarily. Sometimes Redefine Imaginify suggests environments that actively shake things up, disrupt your normal patterns, even places that might feel a bit jarring.
Why jarring? What's the point of that?
The idea is to nudge your mind off its usual tracks, force a cognitive shift, get you out of those comfortable mental ruts.
Okay, makes sense. So where are these magical jarring places?
They're called liminal spaces. Think about those transitional zones. Airport lounges.
Ooh, airports.
Right, or doctors' waiting rooms, the laundromat, your commute, waiting in line somewhere.
The places we usually just try to ignore or scroll through on our phones, why are they creative hotspots?
Because in those spaces, your brain isn't running its usual scripts. Your normal anchors, your desk, your home routine, they're gone for a bit. Your mind is kind of unmoored.
Adrift. Okay. Not tied down by the usual mental checklist. So what happens then?
Well, our brains love efficiency, right? So they create these strong pathways, these mental habits. Liminal spaces interrupt that. They act like a reset.
Creating cognitive white space? Is that the term?
That's it, a temporary vacuum. And because the old dominant thought patterns are disengaged, your mind is almost forced to make new connections, unexpected ones.
Because the usual triggers aren't firing, so different thoughts can link up, ideas that wouldn't normally surface when you're focused.
Exactly. Like shaking a snow globe, everything settles differently. It's why sometimes the solution to a problem pops into your head when you're doing something totally unrelated and mundane.
So the practical tip is resist the phone next time I'm stuck waiting.
Maybe give it a shot. Let your mind drift. Observe things. Turn that dead time into like active mind-wandering time. See what surfaces.
It's leveraging those moments we usually write off.
Totally. It's prime real estate for your brain to play and break free. The disruption itself is the trigger.
I actually had a breakthrough idea for a project once while just staring at the washing machines in a laundromat. The rhythm, maybe?
That's a perfect example. The mundane disrupted your normal flow. It's less about the place being inspiring and more about how it forces your brain to operate differently. It's deliberate disruption.
Okay, so that's one side, the jolt, the disruption of liminal spaces. What about the other side? The calm, the focus, nature.
Right, that's where effortless attention comes in. This is the kind of gentle focus you have when you're, say, watching waves or clouds.
Or listening to leaves rustle, maybe watching a campfire. You're there, you're noticing things, but it's not work.
Exactly. It's often called soft fascination. It's very different from the intense concentration you need for, like, writing code or a complex report. That kind of focus is tiring.
But this soft fascination, it restores you.
Yeah, it acts like a mental palate cleanser. It reduces mental fatigue. It rejuvenates the brain. It lets you kind of breathe mentally.
Okay, and how does that help creativity? Does it just make you feel better?
It does more than that. This relaxed state allows your brain's default mode network, the DMN, to kick in.
The DMN, that's the part that's active when our minds wander, right? Daydreaming.
That's the one. When you're not focused on a specific task, the DMN is busy in the background, sort of cross-referencing everything you know.
Yeah.
Memories, ideas, feelings.
Like a mental librarian making connections quietly.
A great way to put it. And that's where you get those aha moments. The DMN connects dots you weren't consciously trying to connect. Effortless attention gives it the space to do that work.
So we need both, the disruptive jolt of liminal spaces and the restorative calm of effortless attention.
Seems like it. They work in almost opposite ways, but both create conditions for novelty. One shakes things up, the other lets things settle and connect. It makes you think differently about your environment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not just background, it's an active tool you can use. Choose the space for the kind of thinking you need.
Okay, so that's environment. What about inputs? The stuff we feed our brains, is it just about consuming more?
Definitely not. Just consuming more can lead to, overload, analysis paralysis. You get stuck.
Been there. So what's the approach then?
The source calls it narrative cross-pollination.
Okay. Sounds intriguing. What is that?
It's about intentionally seeking out stories, styles, themes, even emotional tones from totally different fields, things that don't normally belong together.
So breaking out of your usual genre or filter bubble on purpose?
Exactly. The goal is to create intellectual friction, deliberately exposing yourself to ideas and forms that clash almost.
Friction, dissonance. Why would you want that? Doesn't that just feel confusing or uncomfortable?
It can, but according to the framework, that friction, that clash, is where the real creative sparks happen. It forces your brain to work harder, to build new pathways to make sense of it.
Ah, so the effort of bridging that gap forces new kinds of connections. Precisely. Your brain wants coherence. Feed it wildly different things, and it has to get creative to find or invent a link. That's where the synthesis transformation really kicks in.
Give me an example. What kind of clash are we talking about?
Okay, imagine you spend a week deep inside a complex cyberpunk novel. Gritty future, AI, neon lights.
Got it. Blade Runner vibes.
Yeah, then immediately after, you pivot and immerse yourself in Renaissance art. Like really study Bosch's paintings, Michelangelo's sculptures, read about Renaissance philosophy, humanism, order, beauty.
Whoa, cyberpunk to Renaissance art. That's some serious mental whiplash.
How about studying classical music theory harmony, counterpoint, and then immediately diving into contemporary street art, like Banksy?
Okay, yeah. Or the example of ancient stoicism and modern stand-up comedy.
Exactly. That feeling of disorientation, that tension, that whiplash. That's the point. Redefine Imaginify says the magic is in that friction.
It's like a chemical reaction in the brain. The clash is the catalyst.
Yes. Mental alchemy. The friction transforms the inputs. And this process creates something genuinely new, something with a real edge, especially online.
Okay, how does this connect to the online world? Algorithms and all that.
Well, think about what algorithms do. They're pattern matchers, right? They look at past data, what worked before, what's similar to existing trends.
They look backward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this internal architect, fueled by cross-pollination, is creating new patterns, unexpected connections. It's looking forward.
So, the most creative stuff, the truly novel ideas, might actually confuse the algorithms at first because they don't fit the old patterns.
That's the paradox. They might fail the algorithm test because they're too different. No neat category, no established audience profile for the machine.
Like that cyberpunk renaissance mashup would probably break the algorithm. Genre not found.
Probably. And Innovationary, the other source, actually has research backing this up. They found examples of content that struggled algorithmically at first, precisely because it was so novel.
Can you share one?
Yeah, there was an indie film they studied. It mixed historical drama with some subtle sci-fi elements. The algorithms were baffled, didn't know how to categorize it, who to show it to, got almost zero traction initially.
Wow. So did it just disappear?
No, that's the interesting part. A small group of dedicated film fans found it somehow. They loved its uniqueness, its vision. They started talking about it, championing it.
Word of mouth kicked in.
Big time. It built this huge organic following, completely bypassing the algorithms, all because humans recognized and valued its novelty.
That's amazing. Any other examples like that?
There was also a food blogger. She was combining really obscure 17th century recipes with modern cooking techniques like molecular gastronomy, foams, gels, that kind of thing.
Old meets very, very new.
Right. Again, algorithms didn't know what to do with it, didn't fit standard foodie trends. Very little reach at first.
But people found it.
Yeah, human curiosity took over. People were intrigued by how weird and daring it was. They shared it because it was genuinely surprising. Her unique voice, that unexpected blend, became the hook.
So why do humans respond to this novelty when algorithms might ignore it?
Because we're wired for it, maybe. We notice distinctiveness. Novelty feels fresh, authentic. It sparks our curiosity that, what is this? How does this work? Feeling. Einstein's imagination right there.
And that human connection allows these things to cut through the noise even without algorithmic help. Success because it's different.
Exactly. It's not succeeding despite being different. Its difference is the reason for its success. It taps into what the sources call an unforeseen power of resonance and autonomy. Ideas spreading organically on their own terms.
So if you manage that cross-pollination well, that synthesis transformation, the result has this built-in startling quality. That unexpectedness is powerful.
It really changes how you might approach everything you consume, doesn't it? If you adopt this conscious architect mindset, you become way more proactive. You see everything as potential raw material.
Building that mental library ready for remixing.
Turning your whole life into an idea workshop, really. And maybe audiences are getting tired of the same old thing, you know?
Yeah.
Craving something genuinely different. This framework pulls it all together. Environment, inputs, synthesis. You're actively designing your own creative ecosystem.
Not just waiting for the muse, but setting the stage, building the conditions for inspiration. It feels much more empowering than just thinking creativity is a gift you either have or don't.
It suggests it's a process, something you can understand, nurture, optimize. Choose your environment, choose your inputs, cultivate the synthesis. It really puts you, the creator, in charge. But
there's always a but.
There's the other side of that power. The power to create something truly novel, something that resonates deeply and spreads quickly.
Yeah.
That brings us right back to the ethics.
Right. Redefine Imaginify tells you how to build this powerful engine, but maybe not so much how to steer it responsibly.
Exactly. The framework describes the how, but the why and the what for the moral compass that lands squarely on the creator, on the architect.
So the question shifts again from how do I make something new to what kind of new thing is it okay to unleash?
That's the core of the conscious architect's ethos. It's not just about being creative, it's about being responsibly creative. What happens when your idea takes on a life of its own online?
The impact gets amplified, right? Both good and bad potential.
Hugely. If you're designing ideas for novelty, for shareability, maybe even for organic virality, the potential effects are magnified. It's not just personal expression anymore.
It's public impact. And if something is truly unique, like that sci-fi history film, it might bypass the usual filters or gatekeeper.
Yeah, the people who might normally add context. So it could reach audiences who aren't prepared for it, who might misunderstand it.
It lands raw, and people might share it just because it's weird or shocking, not because they get the nuance. That's how context collapses online, isn't it?
Totally. The novelty makes it spread, but the deeper meaning gets lost. The creator loses control over interpretation.
Like satire being taken literally.
Yeah.
Or complex science getting oversimplified into something misleading.
Exactly. Because it went viral for being different, not necessarily for being understood accurately.
And there's another layer too, isn't there, about how these novel ideas actually change how people think.
Yeah, that's a profound point. Creations aren't just consumed and forgotten. The really resonant novel ones can actually reshape how people see the world. They become part of the mental furniture for others.
So does the creator, the architect, have a responsibility to think about that potential societal impact before hitting publish?
That's the million-dollar ethical question, isn't it? If the framework encourages disruption, breaking old thought patterns, what if the new patterns you help create are actually harmful? What's the ethical downside of disruption?
Like, what if your novel idea inadvertently fuels misinformation, or deepens divides, or just creates more noise? You're not just making content, you're potentially shaping future thinking.
So the ethics aren't just about the creation itself, but its likely ripple effect on the culture, on collective consciousness.
Which loops back to the inputs again, what you feed your own internal architect.
Absolutely. The choice of what you consume becomes ethically charged. Are you seeking out diverse, nuanced perspectives? Or are you drawn to sensational, divisive stuff because it feels edgy or guarantees a reaction?
So you're curating the raw materials with an eye on their potential downstream effects, even before you've made anything.
It demands that kind of foresight, asking yourself, what am I building towards here? Connection or division? Understanding or confusion? The framework implies this, even if it doesn't spell it out.
It adds this layer of consequence right from the start. And what about the integrity of the idea once it's out there? You mentioned stewardship of vision. How does that work when you can't control it?
That's the real tension. The very uniqueness that makes an idea powerful and shareable, according to Redefine Imaginify.
It also makes it vulnerable.
In the digital world, yes. Once it goes viral organically, it gets remixed, recontextualized, memified instantly by millions of people.
So is the creator responsible for those reinterpretations? How can they be?
It's a massive challenge. How do you protect the nuance of your carefully crafted idea when it's bouncing around the internet, stripped of context, maybe even used for purposes you'd hate?
And the framework doesn't offer a simple solution for that. It's just the burden the creator carries.
It seems so. It tells you how to make the potent thing, but not how to shepherd it safely once it's loose. Imagine an artist makes a really nuanced piece about a complex social issue. It goes viral. But then it gets turned into a simplistic meme that promotes a harmful stereotype. Who's responsible?
That's really tough.
The paradox is stark. The uniqueness gives it power, but also makes it hard to control. Creators have to wrestle with the real possibility of their vision being distorted, diluted, even weaponized.
So pulling all this ethical stuff together, the whole cycle matters. Inputs shape our creations, and our creations become inputs for others. It demands incredible intentionality.
Intentionality about quality, about impact. Being conscious architects, not just of our own minds, but considering what ingredients we're adding to the collective imagination. We're all shaping the future information landscape, bit by bit.
So Redefine Imaginify is powerful for how to create novelty, but it inevitably leads us to these crucial ethical questions about why and what, which must change how we think about success, right?
Absolutely. If these ideas have real impact, maybe virality itself isn't the best measure. We need to think beyond just reach and numbers.
Beyond virality, ethical metrics, what does that look like?
It means shifting focus. Instead of just asking how many views or how many shares, we ask about the quality and the ethical implications of the novelty.
Okay, so not just did it spread, but what kind of idea spread?
Exactly. Did it foster understanding, critical thinking, empathy, or did it add to the noise, the division, the misinformation?
That's much harder to measure than likes.
Much harder. But maybe more important, like celebrating fewer shares for something complex and unifying, rather than millions of shares for something provocative and divisive that just generated outrage clicks.
Quality over quantity, even in terms of impact.
Yeah. Did your creation actually help people understand something better? Or did it just grab attention in a shallow way? The first might have lower numbers, but represents a true ethical success. It's about embracing that deeper responsibility for how novel ideas reshape thought and culture. With the power comes the responsibility.
Okay, so for everyone listening, trying to absorb this framework and grapple with these ethics, what are the practical takeaways? How can you actually do this responsibly?
Good question. It starts with a mindset shift, right? Becoming more intentional, proactive, and responsible about your whole creative process, seeing moments and inputs differently, and thinking about the ripples.
So concrete steps, what's first?
Okay, first, actively use those liminal spaces. The waiting room, the commute, don't just numb out. See it as creative time. And the big tip, try putting the phone away.
Easier said than done, but worth trying.
Just try it. Let your mind drift. Notice things. Do that mini mental journaling. Just observe your thoughts. Turn downtime into active mind-wandering time. See what pops up.
Okay. And step 2, the effortless attention.
Be intentional about that too. It doesn't have to be a big trip. Find small moments. 5 minutes watching clouds from your window. Really listening to birdsong on your walk.
Taking a mindful pause in nature, even urban nature.
Exactly. No goal. Just let your mind rest and observe. It's like hitting a cognitive reset button. Create space for quieter insights. Recharges you.
Makes sense. Then the big one, mindful narrative cross-pollination, but with that ethical filter applied.
Yes, this takes real discipline and reflection. Actively diversify your mental diet. Way outside your comfort zone. Thrillers followed by surrealist poetry, historical fashion archives, then modern architecture. Seek that productive friction.
But here's the crucial addition. As you're taking in these clashing inputs and as your mind starts mixing them, ask those ethical questions.
What's the essence here? What values does this touch? If I create something from this, what's the likely impact?
Is it constructive? Could it be divisive? Am I fostering empathy or misunderstanding? What biases might be creeping in?
You're building ethical consideration right into the synthesis process
Yeah.
before the idea is even fully baked. That's a game changer.
It really shifts the focus. And the final step, the overall mindset.
Embrace being an active forager. Reframe everything you encounter, content, experiences, conversations, as potential raw material for your internal architect.
Seeing the world as a source of ingredients.
You're consciously building that diverse mental library, ready for remixing, responsibly, hopefully. Your whole life becomes this potential wellspring. But with that comes the ongoing responsibility to steward it ethically. Knowing that what you put out, especially if it's truly novel, shapes the collective imagination. It connects back to Einstein, use knowledge, sure, but prioritize the imaginative power to reshape it responsibly.
So, to wrap up our deep dive today, we've seen how Redefine, Imaginify, and Innovationary give us a really concrete, tactical view on creativity. It's not just luck.
Not at all. It suggests you can systematically cultivate it, using environments like liminal spaces or nature, using inputs like narrative cross-pollination to spark that synthesis, creating something genuinely new that can cut through the noise, maybe even bypass algorithms, because it connects with that core human curiosity, just like Einstein applied. Imagination as the driver of novelty.
But this whole powerful framework, combined with the ethical layer we've explored, it leaves us with a really interesting question, doesn't it?
A final thing to chew on. We started with Einstein saying imagination is more important than knowledge. If creativity is so influenced by external things, our environment, our inputs, is the main skill just mastering the outside world, optimizing your surroundings and media diet.
Or is the deeper work more internal, building our own capacity?
Our capacity to choose those inputs wisely, maybe, to synthesize skillfully, to cultivate our judgment, our values, that ethical filter. Where does the real work lie? External mastery or internal cultivation? Especially considering the ethical weight involved now.
Is the ultimate skill navigating that interplay, mastering both the external triggers and the internal synthesis, while taking that conscious responsibility for what we create?
That feels like the heart of it.
I have that riddle again, the one that seems to capture all of this.
Let's hear it one more time.
I am not built from what is known, though I may use old bricks. I thrive where patterns are overthrown and common sense often stinks. In liminal spaces I take flight, or where soft fascination calms the mind. I spark from cross-pollination's friction, new connections you will find. Algorithms find me strange and slow, for I defy their charted ways. But human hearts, they often know, the future I can raise. What am I? More vital than all you've learned, defining genius in a new light.
After this discussion, it has to be imagination, but specifically ethically guided imagination.
Exactly. That spark, that synthesis, that leap. But guided. It leaves you thinking, how much is environment? How much is input? How much is that internal architect? And crucially, how much is ethical stewardship? The real challenge, the real responsibility, lies in navigating all of that consciously.